So then, GV,
Hanji, what's
where you
going on,
been,
bro?
bro? Where you been?
Oh, just busy with life, bro. Just life takes over, innit? Just I just took a bit of time off, to spend focusing on other things than music. I spent like 15, 20 years just focusing purely on music, non-stop. And then little one came along and, marriage and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, I want to put that first, those things are important, man. So
It's almost verbatim exactly what the conversation I had with Jitti. He was saying
yeah,
the same kind of thing. Like
yeah,
soon as soon as kids and all and everything else came along, that was
yeah,
it. He goes, it was kind of done for him at that bit.
yeah.
And he's coming back with that, coming out with new sounds and everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
the same for you?
It's not this in exactly the same. I know Jitti actually like fully like just took time away from music. Um, in my case, I've still been releasing music every year. Something's been coming out. It hasn't been official GV projects as such, but I've still been like collaborating with other people, So, I mean, my last album was 2018, but since then, I wrote All Eyes on Me for Jazzy B Buddy, where I did that. I've done collaborations with other people, I've worked with a lot of people in that time. Some of the things have come out, some haven't, but every year something has still been coming out. So I've still been around, but just not active as I was, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I
But
think
that's going to change soon. But
yeah,
yeah,
because I remember that because I remember when you were releasing the kind of storybook album,
yeah,
you
the
know, when
concept album. Yeah,
yeah, the concept album, that's the word that I
yeah,
was after. Like in terms of how experimental you were and to do something like that, especially the
yeah,
kind of today's market where like music
yeah,
cheap, isn't it? How they like from a consumer point of view, they'll just
big time, man.
take it, won't appreciate it really, and just move on.
Yeah,
And
it's
then when you
disposable, isn't it?
yeah, and you could see it in terms of how much heart and effort you put into it.
Yeah,
Things like that. You're not going to produce every year, are you? In that way, so
no,
I could understand it from a break from that point of it. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you were constantly consistent, so I think
yeah.
any
And
sniff of a break is like a gap
it's
is
kind of
always
needed. And also, in my case, it's not that I just produce these songs; I write these songs too. It's a completely different, it's a completely different challenge. It's a completely different sort of approach. I might not write and produce the songs at the same time. I might write just be songwriting for 2 years and then start putting music to them. There's no set process, but it takes time. So with that concept album, yeah, there were like, I think 8 songs on it, but I would have written 20, 30 songs for that album in order to piece all this story together. And then the video is heavily involved with, and the whole marketing, everything. So it takes it out of you as well. And then you sort of need to, sort of regroup, I guess.
I,
So it takes
I,
time,
I,
man.
I know we're starting a little bit heavy at this bit, but I just want to kind of
Yeah.
while we got the momentum on it.
Yeah.
When two questions. One is around
Mm.
the 20 or 30 different kind of songs. Obviously, they're like your babies at the end of the day. You
Yeah.
you produce them. Do you think they will ever come to see the light of day, or do
No.
you just leave them aside and
Yeah,
that's
you
it?
just forget about them. I know. I mean, occasionally, when you go through your old hard drives, you might have a listen and think, "Oh, that wasn't that bad," or "That was terrible." But I've always approached music this way. If it wasn't good enough to go on that project, it probably isn't good enough to release at another point. Because if I thought it was good enough, it would have already seen the light of day,
Okay. Yeah,
right?
well,
So,
it's
so
fair.
that's why, yeah. But or sometimes it could be a case that something didn't fit that project, but it was cool on its own. But even then, I would have released it by now. 5 years down the line. So yeah, probably not. But there's a lot of songs. But I've done that with every one of my albums. There's always been, ballpark 20 to 35 odd songs. There's always been that. And you sort of develop the ones that you feel at the time.
And did you feel, I mean, this is a little bit of a sarky question in some ways, and I don't mean it to come across that way, but like
Go for it, man. It's all good.
you're very supportive of a lot of people, and you're always one of the first to kind of reach out, especially on social media. Do you get disappointed if you don't see that get reciprocated back, especially for that for the album that you produced?
I used to when I was younger, maybe when my first album came out. But I think as I've grown, I don't really take any of that personally, to be honest. You know, I'm a lot more relaxed now. I'm a lot more just understanding, because the thing is, I might tweet my support at a point in my life where things are going good and I'm on social media and I'm like, oh, so and so's released an album or a single, you know, let me big it up and promote it on my social media. But those people, when my stuff comes out, might be going through something. They might be busy in life. They might, you know, there's so many things that could be going on. So I never really take things like that personally, because you just don't know what's going on in someone else's world. And also, you shouldn't do something to expect it back. You do it because you want to support, and if they don't, it's all right, you know. Whatever, really. But I did 10 years ago. I don't anymore.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to take you back to from where you start and your journey within
Yeah.
within the music. I actually knew of you first as a lyricist. My mate Tich, I think Tich Mahli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No way. Small world.
Yeah. So he was telling me about you before, like, I knew you in the mainstream at all. I don't think you even released it. I think you were writing quite a lot of stuff then.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, listen, watch out for this guy. Watch out." So when you did, I was like,
"Oh,
"Oh,
big
shit."
up."
Yeah. So I knew about you. So like, credit to him.
Yeah.
What
I
was
went to uni with him long time ago, man. He's my boy from way back. How's Owen College and Birmingham Uni? Shout
That's it.
out.
I used to go Lordswood, so it used to be
Okay.
on the way. But I know the family for you. Our families go back years, and I still see him every day as well. So it's a good one. Your journey then. So how did it start to get to that to becoming a kind of a lyricist and in music? Because that's not, at that time, that was not very common at all.
Not at all, really. No one. I didn't really know of any UK-born writers. We do now. At that time, nobody really. We're talking early 2000s when I first started. Sort of, I always wrote. Even as a little kid, I had a fascination with songwriting, you know. So I always wrote. I always played a bit of instruments here and there, and then it was a natural thing, a natural progression where I was like, okay, now I need to learn how to put these songs together. And I guess it more so. So I had that drive more so when I would reach out to show people my songwriting, and they sort of didn't really take it seriously because I was from here, not even necessarily give my song, you know, any time.
So you were getting discriminated because of a UK, you're a UK writer.
Yeah. Nobody really gave me time of day. There's a few people that did. One person was Jaz Dhami from B21. At the time was still in B21. He gave me time, and he was like, "Yeah, come and see me." He took my number, and I never thought he'd phone me. He called me, and you know, today he's a really good close friend of mine. But yeah, back then, and there was a few others, and there was Devraj Uncle. He gave me time, and he was a songwriter, and it was just a case of I just wanted to show him my songs and all that. And me and Tich, actually, we were going to do something together, and we went to see him to also see if he'll give us some songs, you know. But he gave me that encouragement. But there weren't many at that time. Maybe because my songs weren't very good. But in my mind, it was a case of, okay, I'm not getting anywhere here. I'm going to have to learn to produce my own songs.
So did you have anything in terms of, like, you know, like, firstly record it, like, what? Sorry, your musical instruments. Did you learn from anyone, or was that just kind of like school or whatever?
Just school, and just developed. Few people taught me a few things, like Safri Uncle, he gave me a few pointers on Tumbi, just a few, you know, just a few things here and there I picked up over the years. But I used to play the keys in school, so I guess I had a good understanding of music, how to, you know, scales and pitching and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it just developed from there, really. And then, but I did both simultaneously. So I never stopped writing, and then I never stopped producing once I started learning how to program music.
Like, I know as a lad at that age, like, how cool people could be. You know, to have someone like a writer. If I had someone in the lads who were writing stuff, like, they'd be getting hammered. You know, like, they'd be getting cussed by everyone. But like, for you to kind of pick that up, go against the grain, like, that fascinates me. That is, because that shows in terms of the passion for the art and the determination for that to happen. So how did you know where your when your song went from being like a fleeting glance to somebody going, you know, I could do something with this? Who gave you your first break on it?
my productions came out before any of my own songs came out. I think my first song, what was my first song that came out? I think it probably would have been my first album. Actually, no, there was okay, so there was a song that actually I wrote the mukra to it, but I thought the singers that I wanted to approach for my first album wouldn't want to sing my verses as such. So I was like, I reached out to a guy called Sokatesi, and he wrote the verses. But the main hook line and the melody was mine, and that song was Mani Binda by Garry. And Garry was going to sing that on my album, and then that didn't work out, and he released it as a single. So that was the first one, although it wasn't my full song, but the main bit that people sing along to,
and it was a big
track. Was
track.
mine. Yeah,
it was a massive track.
Yeah, and then a few weeks later, Hayoruba off my first album came out, and then my album came out, and I'd written, I think, 4 songs in entirety, and the opening song in the same way. I'd written the main hook line and the melody, and another writer had written the verses. That was the one with Jatt, Putt with Jaz Dhami. So I guess that's when my confidence grew as a writer. But before that, I be honest with you, I didn't get anywhere for like 8-9 years. I mean, people took my songs, so I had a little bit of confidence in that. People are taking my songs, but nothing was coming out. So again, I realized I've got to do it myself here before.
And did you if I had a banger of a song and I gave it to somebody and they wouldn't, did you ever try and take it back? Say, yo, just send it back.
Yeah, once I did. I did actually once. Just the once, and I put that song on my first album. So yeah, I did once,
just to make sure, really.
So, yeah,
because
it's frustrating because you've put your heart and soul into these songs. But one thing I realized over the years is, so I was giving songs out for nothing. You know, I was giving this person a song, that person a song. A song is worth the price a person pays for it, right? So when they've paid you nothing, they don't respect your art. It doesn't mean anything to them, right? So it was one of those where it's whatever, right? They haven't invested in it. There's no vision for the song. It's just they've taken it, kind of giving me that false hope that they're going to do with something with it, and nothing used to happen. So, but I guess that's part of my learning, for the sort of 8-9 years, whatever, beforehand.
So I've kept it kind of an unwritten rule now. So before, when I used to get like a discography and I tried to research it, about 95% of the time, I learned this through the Buddha podcast.
Yeah,
it's like Buddha was getting confused with his own dates as well sometimes. So I was like, I kind of leave it to the guest then to kind of narrate when their first sets of recordings and things came out. So the journey from the ground up to your debut album.
Yeah,
what was that like? Your first kind of recording experience, because like your album, you've dealt with big singers.
Yeah.
Both in ego and reputation and in numbers as well. So like, how is like
you said that, not me, but
but
but we know.
Yeah, the truth is the truth at the end of it.
And some amazing people as well. Some people who are very close friends of mine today, to this day. So
what was that process like, and who did you model yourself in terms of recording?
Okay, so the process was quite a long one to the first album, because the first album came out in 2010, but that wasn't the first album that I recorded. I recorded another album in 2003, and that album never got released. So it was a case of that was probably the most disheartening bit, because
why didn't I recorded
this album. I just couldn't get it released by any label, and back then it was a case of you couldn't really release your own music. You needed that, I was at uni at the time. I was how old was I? I was, just started uni around that time. So I wasn't going to I didn't have the money to be funding, all them videos and physical copies and all of that. I didn't know what to do. So that was 2003. It just never came out. And then I sort of did just productions for people. I did live session work. So I played Dumbi on someone's song, Lugoji on someone's song, that kind of thing, some keyboards and all that. A few ghost productions as well over the years. And then
before the album,
after 2003, when my first album never came out, then between that and 2010, so I did all of that.
And which song was your biggest ghost production?
I'm never gonna.
It's gone now. 20 years.
Yeah. No.
But
I'll never say.
Are they some household bangers? that we
I wouldn't say household bangers, but there are a few that people know. But it's whatever, you know. I
But
don't
didn't you find
dwell
that
on it
more
anymore.
so hang
Yeah.
on, did you find that more frustrating then in one way? Because like you said, you got disheartened that
Yeah.
you knew you got the product, it's a
Yeah.
success, it's been ghost produced, done, and no one's rolling the dice and giving a gamble.
At the time, it wasn't, to be honest. At the time, it was almost.
I think I sound more hurt than you at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's one of them where looking back, yeah, I was a little bit hurt, but at the same time, I wasn't, because I knew the process, but also it gave me a bit of confidence to say, you know what, actually, this stuff is working. Like, you know, what I'm doing, I have got something here. So, you know, I just stayed focused on what I wanted to do. That wasn't really what I wanted to do. I stayed focused on what I wanted to do. And then a few years later, then I did some compilation work. I think, what was it? Loud and Proud 2. I did like 4 or 5 songs on that. I did stuff like that, remixes here and there. And then it was Jaz Dhami's debut album. That was the one where my first real productions under my name, under the name GV, came out, and I was properly credited. And you know, the opening song on his first album was my track. I'd also composed another track. I'd been part of that album, basically. You know, it was part of the team. So that was the turning point for me in being number one, you know, around him to sort of see what can happen. But
and
also,
and when he came out, came out with a massive tidal wave, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he was
big time,
like the golden child of the UK scene at that point.
Yeah, but I think also just hanging around with him, you know, because he was my mate from when we were like 15, 16 years back. I'd known him, you know, so like just hanging around with him and seeing his drive gave me more drive to do what I was doing. So that really helped as well. So, and then a year later is when my first album came out from the ground up.
So who was your kind of, I wouldn't say like competition in a way. It depends how you define it. Your competitors or people rivaling you at that bit or spurring you on. What was it? Because like one of the things that have come back, especially feedback when I do this, when I've been doing the podcast, especially with the music people, is that the younger people when I get to speak to them or the feedback, like they sometimes struggle to understand what the atmosphere was like in the industry, what was the scene was like. Like, for example, I did give a little bit of a shout out when the Jazzy B gig came out. So he hadn't done a gig in the UK for ages in terms of a club gig. He went to do one on Broad Street, and there was like loads of students there, and they've never heard Nog they've never seen him on stage. So they've only been used to hearing Nog on a DJ track.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like, if you're missing the experience of arguably one of the best stage performers ever, imagine the impact, like trying to understand it, explain what the scene was like to somebody else who's not aware of the live scene as well. So like,
of course,
in your eyes then, what was the scene like at that time?
So we're talking 2009, 2010 here. So we're talking Jazz's first albums. That was my opening track on his first album, and my album 2010. We're talking sort of the back. I would say the back part of when UK was, you know, still good up until about 13, I think, to 2013. Around that time, though, as a producer, what you were battling with was that if you released something that was above a certain standard, if it wasn't terrible and all the music wasn't out of key and sync and everything, then somebody else must have produced it. So that's what I had to battle with when I came on the scene, because it you know, people would be like, oh yeah, this is a great album, but who produced it? You know, and I used to get that. I used to get people saying, oh, I read somewhere that Aman produced your first album. I'd even get people shame.
Aman Hair.
Yeah, Aman Hair, right? And I heard that one. I heard who else? I heard so many names like pop up, you know. I was like, bloody hell, I don't think I've even met Aman at that point ever. But you know, thank you.
Look at that for a compliment.
Thank you. I did. That's how I saw it. I was like, but thank you. Like, if these people are saying, oh, he must have produced it, then I must be doing something right. So I've seen it that way. But at the same time, it was really frustrating, because you think, you know, like I've spent the last 10 years working at this. I genuinely do this. You know, I work damn hard, but nobody wants to give you credit when it's too good, you know,
But
in
it
their
was,
eyes. So that's what you were battling with back then.
but that was probably that. You know, I'm not assuming and just saying it. A lot of those narratives from when I've had discussions with people were coming from other artists or other people in the industry.
And that
was
too,
the first one, because the regular customer couldn't give a
They
shit.
couldn't give a shit, yeah.
So like,
Exactly.
you know, but if it's coming from a credible source, like muddying the waters became really, really easy at that time.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true. But yeah, so that was a bit weird, a weird time, you know, because if a song's good, it's good. But
Yeah.
you used to have to deal with that. But apart from that, the scene was still vibrant. I think it was still good. 2009, 10, it was still a good scene. We still had a club scene. You know, we had radio, you know, lots of radio stations that really got behind UK Bhangra music. We had TV as well. You know, a lot of people watch TV then. Now it's changed. Obviously, we've got social media. It wasn't that big then, really. Twitter was relatively new.
Yeah,
right?
Twitter was a different breed.
Yeah,
like that,
it was
like,
then
everyone was a
compared to
bit
now.
friendly, and then I remember
Twitter was a much nicer place then.
Yeah, I remember the first scandal where somebody had created a fake profile.
Yeah,
just hating every artist who was releasing.
Yeah. Oh, we've seen that a few times. We've seen that happen a few times. That was like, those are the first. Hey, yeah, I'm sure it still happens. Yeah,
I don't know what it was called, man.
It was some police account or something, wasn't it? Something. That's it, Bhangra Police.
Bhangra Police.
Yeah. He used to terrorize everybody. He or she used to terrorize everybody, didn't they? Right. That was what Twitter was back then.
Yeah,
and then you had the
good
Punjab.
and horrible.
Yeah, both. And then you had the Punjab 2000 message boards.
Yeah,
I think
so I don't. So
back end of it.
Yeah, that's my bit where I didn't really see. I saw it a few times, but on a different on somebody's computer and stuff. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Even now, I hate like that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
a lot of the market was, you know, a lot of people talk about it. It was the same 10, 12 artists.
It was the same people
just
cussing every artist, you know.
So did you like? Obviously, you're a part of the industry at the time.
Yeah.
Did you kind of like discuss it with other people in your circle, because you got a young faction there? Yeah, let's say you and Jazz.
Yeah.
And then you've got like you've already connected with Garry. You've got all the like. Would you have active discussions of saying, or would you experience, let's say, a bit of the how do I say, the blocks from the older industry?
The blocks, I don't know.
Because okay, here we go.
I wouldn't say. Yeah, go.
No, what I was saying was that you've released your first album. It's a success, right? You're starting to become a bit more of a household name in terms of like in Punjabi music.
Yeah,
that's obviously going to open up a lot of doors to some of the bigger singers or someone else who want to do work with you.
Yeah.
What you tend to find is that those singers might have a relationship with a certain producer or record labal.
Yeah.
And they'll say, nah, they don't do his, come and do mine. Did you start getting
that? That used to happen all the time. Used to also be मैं करता देमा, but फिर फलाने producer ने नाराज हो जाना मेरे नाल, तू इदा कर, तू ओदे नाल पहला गल कर ला. So speak to him first. And then, you know, so I have to have a meeting with another producer I have no dealings with, just because I want to work with this singer who's not signed to this producer, just because his emotions or, you know, his feelings will get hurt. So yeah, some people were like that. But I think that probably happens even now.
Did you like how, like, can you remember a time where that sticks out, where that situation came up more, that you're allowed to, that you feel comfortable in sharing?
To be honest, I've generally was quite lucky in the first sort of 5 years of releasing music, because I, like we mentioned, Jazz. Through Jazz, I'd met Garry. We knew each other already from, you know, before I ever released a song. Before any of us had ever released a song, we knew each other. So I already at this point now of coming into the scene 2009 times, I already have a network now, and we sort of kept it quite close in that network. So it was almost like I'll ask, but if the person wants to, if I have to start going through other producers and management and all that, I used to just step back. That happened a lot of times, so I can't even pinpoint one example. You know, it used to happen a lot. You know, management used to also get in the way a lot as well. Over
Well,
nothing,
as in the
right?
artist manager or the record label?
Yeah, artist management. I used to have a lot of trouble with artist not trouble, but you know, a lot of like setbacks and just gatekeeping. You know, for no reason. Like, we're trying to make a good song here. You know, if you're a singer, why don't you want to even at least explore the option and the avenue? You know, it was hard,
Was
man.
it starting
It's
to
really hard.
put you off? Because like if you think so, what year was your first official
2010 was
10,
the
right? So
first
that's
album. Yeah,
yeah. So you've waited 7 years to get
yeah,
to release it after
yeah,
your first try, and then you're coming up with all this
yeah.
bullshit that you're dealing with, and you thinking, is it actually worth all the headache?
So I reached out to one singer, and I'd done a song with this singer a few years before,
Yeah,
which I wasn't credited on, but I knew this singer.
yeah.
And I reached out through somebody, and the reply I got was, I'm doing too well to have to do songs with any other producers now. That was the response. I just remembered while you were asking. So these are the kind of things that we had to deal with
Hold
from
on.
the
So you
yeah,
helped this geezer when he was first starting out.
yeah, a few years earlier. I'm never going to mention who it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
but
And then you try and reach out,
yeah.
and
And
then
he
they
said,
said,
"I'm doing, yeah. I'm not saying that's verbatim, but that was the gist of it. I'm doing well enough now. Yeah, well enough now where I don't have to work with any producers um, on their projects. Um, so yeah, and then I saw him after Brick had come out and all them tracks Freshie had come out and whatnot. And then I saw him somewhere at a show, and he's like, I've got some songs and I got all these ideas, and I thought, yeah, good one, man. But yeah, so
also because you did well with Gary and that,
yeah,
the person came
yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah,
said,
yeah. So these are the kind of things you have to deal with in this music game sometimes, right? But yeah, that was a interesting one, really.
yeah, because
But
like,
shouldn't put out that, isn't it?
yeah, because to manage your emotions as a person in terms of pride, and then as an
Mm.
artist is like it's a hard
Yeah, yeah,
combination to
yeah.
do,
It's
isn't it?
tough, man. It's tough. Yeah. But
So
yeah,
you did,
so you
go
always
on,
have
sorry.
setbacks though. When you're trying to, it's a creative industry, sometimes someone's vision doesn't match your vision, and that's okay. And sometimes people even don't know how to say, I don't really want to be part of this, and so they might not get back in touch with you and all that, and that's okay as well. But yeah, you
So
deal with interesting
the
situations.
labels or the labels the label that you were with and that, who
Yeah.
did you sign up with first, and then
So I so my first album initially was signed with another label, and then I made a switch. I won't mention the other label, but then I had to switch it. Luckily, I had an opportunity with Moviebox, and the other deal wasn't working out, so we switched the deal. And then I had a few albums with Moviebox, and yeah, and released those, and we did really well. We made some good
Movie
music
Box was
at
sweeping up
Moviebox
everything at that time, weren't
at
they?
that time. Yeah, and even now, I have an amazing relationship with Cameron and Moviebox and Shabir Uncle. So it's one of those where if ever in the future opportunity arises, I can still I'll still release with them again. But yeah, at the time they were just every week you would walk into Moviebox's offices, and they used to have a whiteboard with the marker, and every used to be listed every week who's coming out, and you'd be like nosy and just be checking out what's going on.
Yeah,
And
because that
somewhere in
was
the middle, you're
that
going to
used to
get
be
slotted in.
crazy. Because they used to have the same. They used to have a
Yeah,
similar They used to have the same. It used to be a similar cover of every
yeah.
album. It used to be kind of the guys looking looking at the floor,
But
wearing sunglasses, and then like
yeah,
yeah, that's it. And behind it was like a massive emblem of something,
yeah. It
different
was
color.
Tintin. It was the same designer, right? Making all the covers.
Yeah,
He was a great designer, though. I love Tintin.
they all
But
look. They all look. It was like, and then
yeah,
they were literally. It was every week. There
it
was an
was
album coming out
all the
every week.
time, man. Yeah, it was. It was sometimes 2-3 releases every week, right? Because you'd have the movie box one, and you'd have the Gumbly one, and at a time they had Kismet. So it was like, yeah,
And
they were
I
relentless.
think movie box are ramping up again, ain't they? I think some of they're starting again.
I think they'll always be around Moviebox because it's
What I
such a
mean is
big
in terms
label,
of
right?
like being more active, like especially because like they chill back for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think they
I
like
think I think
relying
that
on the
might
back
be
catalog.
Yeah, I think that might be not just down to them, but it might be down to the quality that they're presented with as well. As far as an industry, we're not doing what we were, say, 5, 10 years ago. But also, a lot of people are releasing themselves and
Yeah, the independence.
independent, right? So there's also that. I think it's probably changed the business model for them. But also, someone like Moviebox, their catalog's massive, so I'm sure they're going to always be good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think they're going to
Right?
struggle. Let's put
Never,
it that way.
never.
Your journey then from the ground up to Old Habits Die Hard. How
Yeah.
long of a time was that from release to release, and then how long were you working on it in between?
So From the Ground Up came out in December 2010, and then 2010, yeah, December 2010 From the Ground Up, and then we did, you'd release the videos like they're singles off the album
Yeah,
back then. So then by summer 2011, had Fresh Ready with Gary, Freshie, Mera Bhaj, and that came out in September 2011. So
I want.
at this time, I started working on the next album because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew I didn't have long
So
to.
you know that song. That song
Yeah,
caused chaos, didn't it?
it did in a good way and a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So chaos in a good way,
yeah,
where everybody was talking about you. So bad PR is always good PR,
yeah,
and the song was good,
yeah.
and it's being played. I remember when I heard it,
Hmm.
I was listening to Raj FM on the way back
Okay,
from work, yeah, and the presenter was kicking off,
okay.
and I was like, "You're a presenter? This is at the time where presenters are
Yeah,
supposed to be impartial in it. I mean,
yeah,
we've already had a little bit about Gary Lineker, but we don't need to
yeah,
go down that road.
yeah.
But this guy was going. He cut the song off halfway through, and he
Yeah.
goes, and then someone basically had rang in complaining about the song,
Yeah.
and then he cut the song off, and he goes, "I've
Oh,
told
that
everyone."
was
Do you know
bringing
about
back
that?
memories, man. No,
Yeah,
but I'm not surprised
yeah. He
because
goes,
it's
"I've been
bringing back so
told."
many memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from your point of view, when you were
Yeah.
making it, did you have any? So the background of the song. Do you want to just give a bit of a background of the song, and then just talk about the reaction?
Yeah. Gary was sitting at my house and we were working on something else, and he started telling me a personal story that he was going through at the time. And he said something as a joke, because he's like Minus Hadea for Jima Freshia and all that kind of stuff. And he started singing that. And to us, it wasn't anything more than just that. He'd written these lines and he sang them, and I produced them straight. I produced the song there and then that night. And by the end of the session, that 3-4 hours, whatever it was, we had a song, pretty much finished. Which, I mean, we did reproduce a little bit of it afterwards, but that was pretty much, it stayed pretty much the same as what we had that night. And I remember calling my dad into the room and saying, "Listen to this." And my dad found it quite, funny. Everyone else we were playing it to, they found it funny. They saw that, the sort of where he was going with it and the tongue in cheek and not
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But it was actually a personal song for Gary. It was actually a personal song, but also there was something else to it where he was saying people looking there. So I'm going to make that word really famous, which at the time people didn't really see his vision, but he really did make that word extremely famous, right? And yeah, and that's all that was. It was nothing more than that. And then, a week later, we're driving to London to mix it and master it and whatnot. And then a few weeks later, we'd done the video and the song came out. It wasn't something that we planned for 6 months or anything. It just happened. And in that time, I guess we'd never stopped to think, okay, what's going to be the other side, the other sort of the flip side of this. Yeah, we think it's funny and we don't think much of it. And Gary thinks he can use that word, which we didn't think anything was wrong with that. But a lot of people did, bro. A lot of people, man. Like even going to shows became dangerous because you'd get people, wanting to start some shit and do all sorts to us, man. It was yeah. It had its ups and downs, that song. So very successful, but also there were a lot of people who didn't initially, I would say initially did not understand it. And yeah,
So
found it quite offensive.
Yeah, so those people who don't like
Yeah.
when in the context of when somebody was called freshie, so somebody here with no legal
Yeah.
status, they were
Yeah.
people were being called
Yeah.
freshie, and then so like Gary then just makes the song out of it and
Yeah.
tries to make it infamous in that.
Yeah, because he's like he was thinking he was like his thinking was, yeah, I am weird, and so are your parents, which is right. So are your parents or your grandparents. So why is it that why is our own community using this term in a derogatory way against people who've come here for a better life? And oh, we apne bande, they apne hi hain wo. And yet we do that to people. So that's all that was. The thinking behind it was. But yeah, some people really didn't like it. That the song
But he's
was.
always been like that, even with where
Yeah,
he's always pushing the envelope, and even when he
yeah,
like trailblazing, even some of the sounds that
yeah.
he comes out with his music, it's not conventional kind of sounds that he comes out
No,
with.
no, no.
He's in his
Yeah,
own
but
stuff.
his vision has, and that's why he's been so successful. His vision, he plays the long game. He can see things that nobody else can see. Because I remember good 4 or 5 years before that, he used to say, he was like, "Minnu pata, ek din mera time auna." He used to say, he goes, "Minnu pata, kuch hega mere vich." He used to, those are the exact lines he used to say, "Minnu pata, kuch hega mere vich." And I don't think he ever doubted that. And obviously, we know the rest. We know, what he's gone on to achieve. So, yeah, man. But that song it was a special song.
And
It
you
doesn't.
also
Those kind
had
of things don't happen all the
and you
time.
also did Brick with him
Yeah,
when he was at his like he's
yeah.
obviously at the beginning of
Low
his hot and
point.
just sustained it really as well.
Yeah, but when Brick came out, Brick had a massive impact. Right, that summer it was huge. But in creating that song, I think Gary was at a really low point because that was the point where he'd just gone to India, and we were going to do a song for my second album because we intended to do one for my first one, which was going to be Mani Binda. It never worked out. We never found an alternative song, so we always planned to do a song for my second album. And then he just said to me, he was like, "Do me India aa jaईं, ਆਪਾਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਰਦੇ हैं." He was already in India at this point. He was like, and then that way you can release it there and keep my name out in the market as well, and it's off your second album as well. So that's where that happened. But it was just the timing of it was, the success of the song was amazing, but the way it was created, he was at a really sort of low point at that point,
Because
at that time.
when you look back on it,
Yeah,
he was at the time it was harsh, like he's gone,
yeah,
he's sent there, he's got to
yeah,
stay
it
there,
was.
and his career could have gone down, and he just
Yeah,
plugged
yeah,
away
yeah,
and
absolutely. And
and beat it.
yeah, I mean, that was a terrible time for him because,
It made him it was inarguably,
yeah,
I know it sounds controversial, but that was probably the best thing that happened to him in
yeah,
terms of like how popular he got and the bookings and
because
everything. Because the
I
UK
agree.
scene started dropping down.
Yeah. And you could say that had he not gone to India, he may not have found the sound that he eventually ran with and developed. He may have kept on doing the type of songs he was doing here, and then they may have stopped working for him. So maybe that was what needed to happen for him to become this massive superstar. He was a star here already, but it wasn't in India. Because when we were recording Brick, I remember he was in the vocal booth, and the engineer at the studio was asking me, "Who's this singer?" And I was like, "Ilana Gorma Khelda." He goes by Garry Sandhu, and he was like, "Yeah, एक singer England ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਆਇਆ ਹੁਣੇ ਅੱਜਕੱਲ paper 'ਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸੀ." And I was thinking, "Oh shit!" Like that's, and I told him, I was like, "Gary, right?" But then that broke my heart because I was like, he's in the paper in Punjab for the wrong reasons. I remember sitting in the studio, it just broke my heart, that did, because I was like, it should be for the right reasons. It should be for the music. It shouldn't be for someone's immigration status and what he's going through, because he was in such a dark place. So to see how he came back from that, it was phenomenal, bro, because I think that made him as a person as well, not just as an artist, but as a person.
So
But it was a
individually on
bad
your
time, man.
yeah. Individually on your own work then, were you starting to feel the pressure because like you're getting hit after hit after hit,
Yeah,
and then you're like even in any kind of life work that you do,
yeah.
if it's gone well, you always want to reciprocate or do better.
Mm.
Did you that self pressure? How did you manage that leading up to the album then?
So Brick was off that album, but it came out a year before the album. So yeah, so I'd had 3 years of non-stop, music coming out. So we had Putt Jatt that did really well for me, and then other songs off that first album did well. Then we had Fresh in 2011, then Brick in 2012. I'm like, yeah, like what you just said, it's like pressure, right? Building. But I had a little bit of a window then because I was like, okay, Brick's come out. That'll buy me a bit of time now for a good 8, 9, 10 months. So then I worked on that album, and then the album came out in 2013, in August 2013, and on that I had done that song with H Dhami called Ajgal. We did the video in LA. We had Akiya the Nasha with Roach Killer. I would say that was probably the more successful song off that album. But then also had Legends Boliyan with Hira Premi Apna Sangeet,
Yeah.
Safri Onko, and Shin DCS. So yeah, man, I just kept rolling, and I think so much was going on at that time. I never stopped to worry about things like what you just said there, like feel the pressure. I never had time to feel the pressure. I was just, when things are going well, everything you touch is turning to gold because you're in that flow of it. And also, like you said earlier, you've also got access to more singers because now people want to work with you because, of course, why wouldn't they? You're doing well. And so that helped as well. And yeah, it was just one of everything was just rolling well. So yeah, and then Ajikal came out, and then a month later, Kiya the Nasha, and that did really well. But that did well for me, not just in the Punjabi community, but in the in the Pakistani community, in the Bangladeshi community. We had wedding performances all over the place for all different backgrounds off the back of that Akiya the Nasha. So yeah, man, that was a big song for me as well.
And then, when you did you, I'm going to try and say it in a different way. When you see some artist or you listen to some of their work, it gets kind of samey because they try and repeat the same formula or the style of song. How did you combat that you didn't keep producing the same thing? Like nowadays you're seeing the regeneration or like the how do I say like part 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever, right? And then the albums and sequels and all this kind of stuff and that.
Yeah.
How did you kind of combat yourself to say, I'm not going to go down that way?
Yeah.
Or that you start seeing that, difference, I need to change my sound?
I never ever wanted to, even when I'd just be working at home on new songs, if it ever sounded like a song I'd already done, I would scrap it. I've always been like that. I'd never have wanted to produce a song that sounds exactly like a song I've already done. Which is why if you look at my catalog, you won't hear 2 songs like Brick, or you won't hear 2 songs like Freshie, right? Because I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to change it up. I guess I just get bored as a musician, as an artist. I think I just get bored, bro, to be honest. And that sort of drives me to find a new sound, new ways of writing and all that kind of stuff. That's how I think that's all it was really. Otherwise I would have probably kept on doing, I would have done Brick 23 times because it did so well. Right.
No, like the sequel songs, like I do like them. They're different spin, and I think if they're done right, I think it works, and it from that bit. But like when you see lesser artists, let's say to speak, where it's become it's lazy for a minute, and then you just see like, okay, you're still celebrating something you've done. Like 5 years, you've only released the other like 5 years ago. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. What's the point?
How far has it progressed you? And you don't see that development as an artist. Where I'm guessing when you look back at your work, you can see an evolution. I mean, you had to wait 7 years for your first one, anyway. To get to this bit, and then like what I would say is like that concept album, for example. That you could tell that's your album. Like. You didn't care for like, didn't you? Like, I could have this totally wrong.
No, I think
didn't you go to Switzerland or somewhere weird to like record it? Or did you go? So you went to a studio or something like that to work on it for a
No,
little bit.
that was that the second one. I don't even remember. Yeah. That one was recorded in a few places. I wrote some of it in Switzerland. I
Yeah.
can't believe you know that. That's mad. I did write some of it in Switzerland. I think the second one recorded in more places because that was LA, India, UK, where else? Somewhere else. Spain, maybe. I can't remember, but a few places. I think this one was, I think it wrote it all over the place.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
recording
I
was done in one place.
I just remember something
Yeah,
about that
that's
age.
mad. I've never heard someone say that. Yeah, that's crazy. There you
See,
go. Check that out.
professionals in this game.
That's real right there, bro. That's impressive, man. But yeah, you're right. Even I forgot about that, but yeah.
Yeah. Because you know it when you because I kind of listen to people like even with other people that I don't even get you know I'll probably fundamentally disagree on
Yeah.
99% of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's always important to kind of understand what their thinking is, and I've gone more curious with it, especially with doing stuff like this. You just get fascinated with decision making.
Yeah.
Like why would I do? Why wouldn't I do that? Or why would I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're like it's work for you because you got a portfolio of work to say. Well, I've got
Yeah.
enough evidence to and credit in the bank to say this
Yeah.
is the way to do it. But then
Yeah.
you know, when you see, I think it's so hard now for up and coming artists coming through.
Yeah.
You know, you look at
It is, man.
even on TikTok, how many singers there are and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
It's
And then you know
hard,
when
man.
you know when you look into it, you can see they've already been tapped up by about 10 different people.
Yeah, you can see it in the comments. Everyone's
You
on
can
it.
see it,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you're like
Yeah.
going, oh man, like I think that longevity of careers now is
Yeah.
much shorter to
Yeah,
the
I
point that
agree.
I would say that some of the artists coming now won't last 20
Yeah.
years. I say
No.
some, you know, you'll get odd
Yeah.
exception, but from the UK, I can't see it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cannot see it.
I think in
I,
general, everything's like that, right?
yeah,
Everything is disposable. So even your top artists, you're only going to get like 1% that will be around in 10 years, really. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a fair um assumption. I
So
don't
how
think
do you
that's right.
okay? So how do
Wrong.
you cater your creativity then to kind of bear that in mind? Is it easier to be a producer than it is to be a singer in that case?
Definitely, because a producer, even if you look at historically, a producer's shelf life is greater than a singer's because you're in the background. Number one, your image isn't as important. Number two, you can sort of try different things a little bit easier because you're sort of almost to a certain degree hiding behind the singer. Or if you're working with a different singer, you can try different things. But if a singer, you have an audience to please, and when you get away from that audience too much, your audience can switch off, so you can't sort of go too far out. I guess for some singers that worked, but you know, if I don't know, AP Galnu came out with a full-on folk album, I don't know if his fans will like that. So I guess it's one of them, right?
I
You
think
just
he's
never
one of
know.
I think he's one of the rare ones that can
Yeah,
actually do anything at this stage.
you'd only know it, and yeah,
How
if you
long
did.
for? You don't know. But at
Yeah,
the end of the day, they're making money.
yeah,
So you know, like real money. Do you
yeah,
okay? You know the road then to like the concept album. What
yeah.
does a concept album mean to you?
A concept album is it's all about, to me, it's having a theme, one theme or a group of themes that are intertwined, were, you know, sort of navigating through this album. And the idea came about from, so I don't listen to just Bhangra music, I listen to everything. And the idea came about from old school rock albums that were, you know, were concept albums, the original concept albums like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and these kind of albums. They're amazing albums and the songs are all connected. And if you really like delve deep into the songwriting, they've connected the songs and the themes. And that's all it was. That's where the idea came from. So I was like, I've got these songs and I want to write about these kind of things. But how do I sort of, do I release them separately or do I bring them together as one sort of theme and one story and one long video? Because that video was an 18-minute video. It was one long 18-minute video with different songs coming in and out.
Mm.
I had to release it separately because, like you mentioned earlier, people's, you know, sort of attention spans are so short. I was like, if I release it today, it'll be finished next week. It'll be like, people will move on by next week. So I've got to get a bit of life out of it, which is why I had to split it up. Maybe now I would have released it all in one go, but like I said, the lifespan would have been shorter, I think. So that was what the thinking was behind the concept album. I just thought it was unique because at that point I'd never seen anything,
See, I
like
had
that.
to
Like
see.
nobody do that kind of thing, really.
Yeah, but
So,
see that to me, that's a proper album. It's
mm,
like for me, like albums now are just 10 songs
yeah,
or 15 songs.
compilations.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
like absolutely not related at all.
yeah,
And just stuck together and say, oh, here's the album.
yeah,
Whereas if you listen to kind of um some of the mainstream album songs, like 36 Chambers, for example, like Wu-Tang,
yeah.
right?
We're
That
yeah,
is, there's a clear theme of how it all fits
absolutely.
together. You know, that's
Yeah,
a journey from
yeah.
start to it. And
It takes you on a mental
yeah,
journey as well. Like you can visualize it.
and it's actually hard
Yeah,
not to listen to it in order
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the
yeah,
album, the way how it's put together,
yeah,
and I think a lot more albums should be like that now,
yeah,
especially like people take a punt and have a go
yeah,
because you're like, oh, they ain't gonna listen to it by next week anyway. So like,
yeah.
at least if I'm gonna do it, I'll do it on my own terms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what that was because I think the two albums before that, it was me just trying to find the video tracks. Every track had to be a video track. I
Or a
was like,
wedding song.
or a wedding song, or a love song for a first dance, or, all that kind of stuff, or a
Mm,
gangster song because we've got to act bad and all that. So sometimes I was just ticking the boxes. If I look back, really,
mm.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like sometimes it was just ticking the box. Whereas with that album, I was like, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do something that I want to artistically do, and I'm going to stick to my vision because that's the other thing. When you're halfway through making an album, it's very easy to sort of end up in a different area and lose sight of what you were trying to achieve. With that album, I never did that. I just stayed on the same path all the way through, to the point like even when I wrote those songs, some of the songs they'll finish on a given word and the next song starts using the same line
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
same word. So if you listen to it carefully, like, there's all these connection points. Um, so yeah, it was a labor of love, that album. And I'm really proud of it. Out of my three albums, it's probably the least well-known album, least, out of the three, because it's probably the least commercial album, but it's probably the most my proudest album. I'm most proud of that album just because of everything that went into it.
Well, it's a piece of art in it. It's different
Yeah,
to the album, isn't
yeah.
it? It's
Whereas the others, I would say, what I mentioned earlier, they probably are more compilation-like albums
yeah.
because they were all separate songs, completely, done at different times. Might be a year apart, and then you just put them together, So,
So let's give you the 2003 date, right? This year marks 20 years in the industry.
oh
Yeah.
shit, I never thought of that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's mad.
So, what do you think of the current? I'll give it. I'm going to do it slightly different. What do
Yeah,
you think of the current market in the UK?
yeah.
Then, what do you think of the current market in India, and then in Canada?
Okay, UK, I think. Um,
Are you worried?
um, yeah, to a degree. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. A year ago, I would have said maybe, no, I'm not. The new guys coming out, they're gonna carry the scene, and I still hope for that. Um, Whether they will or not, I'm not sure. I've not heard many people. I've heard a few, but not many people that are bringing a new sound that we haven't heard before, and I think that's what the UK needs. Previously, we always had somebody bringing out music that was really exciting, something really new, vibrant, and all of that. I think that's missing, and it always starts with the youth, right? It can't be people like me who, 10 years ago we were doing it, but we're a little bit older now, so it always often these movements start from, the youth and that energy and that vibrancy, all that kind of stuff. So, but I've heard a few young cats. They're very good, but let's see what happens. Um, but I think the UK, I think we're going through change as well. We're not second generation anymore. So, there's a massive generation of kids that don't speak Punjabi anymore, right? I would say kids might sort of kids under 10 years old, for every one that speaks Punjabi, there's probably 50 that don't speak Punjabi. Maybe that's a big stat, but I don't know. These are not verified stats, but I'm just saying.
From experience.
Yeah, and speaking the language and having that connection to the music, and sometimes it can work the other way. You like a certain type of music, so you learn the language, but there's that disconnect happening, and that's inevitably going to happen because, like I said, we're not second generation anymore. We're third, fourth, fifth in some cases, I guess. So I think we're not just going through a change with music, we're going through the change as a community. So, and I don't know where that's going to end up or where it's going to head in the next 10, 15 years. Let's see. But I see us getting even smaller because of that. I hope I'm wrong. But, but then again, the audience is there. In the same argument, on the flip side, the audience is still there because when people like AP are here and Diljit's here, the audience are selling out. But what I'm saying is when this particular audience grow up into their 40s and whatnot, what's the next audience after that? I think that's what we need to look at. So I don't know. So I can't really say to you because it's going to be good.
Like AP and them, like we can't class them as UK in it, and then like Diljit not UK. So
what I'm saying is when they come here, the audience is clearly there. Yeah, the market's still there, but I just don't know the audience after the current youth below them. I don't know if there's enough of them who are going to have that connection to the Punjabi community in general, little less music and Punjabi culture. So I don't know where it's going to head. I hope these some of the new guys, I hope Raf's doing his thing, right? Raf's doing his thing. There's a few others that are doing their thing, man. And I'm hoping they can be the next sort of, the guys. My boy Culprit is great at what he does. There's a few others, G Funk, there's some good producers around, so yeah, man, all the best to them. I hope they can raise the game. But yeah,
I got a bit of a weird theory that the reason why AP done well is because he doesn't. They don't have complex lyrics.
Yeah.
They just have just enough Punjabi for somebody who wanted to learn or just a little bit competent.
Yeah,
and they're not going into complex lyrics at all.
No. Simplicity.
Yeah, and it's also going on.
Yeah,
like garage is coming back, and it didn't really go anyway. So you're just repeating the same lines anyway.
Yeah,
like a garage track.
So
that's why I think it works personally.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Who gave me credit for that as well?
Go on.
I had that argument. I had that conversation, and he wrote it down. Punjabi MC.
Okay, fair enough.
I said it to him, and he goes, "Say that again."
Yeah,
and I was like,
"So PMC's all the PMC songs are going to be really simple going forward."
He came over. He goes, "What's your name?" So I told him my name. And then he got his phone out and he wrote it in his phone.
That's good.
And then he got it on there. So if ever it comes out and he says that line, I'm taking credit for that.
Yeah. Make sure you do. Make sure you do.
Coming from him, I was like, I nearly passed out.
Yeah, no, fair play. He's a legend, man.
Oh,
next level. But yeah, so I don't really know.
India,
to be honest.
India.
So Canada, you asked about Canada, or did you ask Canada last? Does it matter, the order?
No, it doesn't matter. Go for it.
So Canada, I think Canada are an interesting one because I think Canada are going through what we were going through in the 90s and the 2000s because they are, their youth are into the Punjabi scene.
Is that the new home of Bhangra, would you say?
Nah, the home of Bhangra is still Punjab, in my opinion. It's still Punjab, man. And I think it will always be Punjab until everybody moves out of Punjab, which could happen.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it's happening.
Yeah, but yeah, it's happening. So, but I still think Punjab is still the home of Punjabi Bhangra music. You asked Bhangra, not Punjabi language music. I would say for Bhangra, but for more urban sort of sounding Punjabi music, Canada's the home of it at the moment. But every country still has success stories. There are still successful artists in the UK, just not as many as there were, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But we're just going through a change,
So what? So when you're coming out with we started the podcast with talking about, you got things are going to change. I'm going to be more.
Yeah.
How are you going to try and blend all of those markets in there? Because I still believe, when you speak to somebody, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just doing it for me." And that I think, okay,
no,
I believe about 90% of that. But like,
you can bleep that out,
no, it's like, I swear.
Or you can leave it.
Yeah. You know, where you think like,
Yeah.
come on, man, you still have to
That's a
take.
lie. Yeah.
So as a producer, then how do you accommodate all three of those kind of markets in there?
I think you do have to have the audience in mind. You do. I think I see it from the artist's point of view, like what you're saying. Some people do say that. I understand it, whereby an artist thinks, no, I need to just like the song. As long as I like it, then I'll release it and hope for the best. But I think you still have to have your audience in mind, right? You still have to, be aware of, I don't know, the sort of sounds that work now. I don't know. You have to read the room a little bit, read the market a little bit. But at the same time, you shouldn't then be making a song just because it's working at the moment, because then you're not necessarily being true to, who you are. And also you probably don't know that world too much. Like, I don't listen to trap music. If I made a trap song, it will still sound like a trap song, but it might be a trap song because I don't understand that industry, right? So it's just one of them things. You kind of just need to, I think, just be aware of, sonically aware, sound aware, and be writing songs that are still relevant in the time that you're releasing in. So, I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, especially subject
More than
matter.
subject
Yeah,
matters really important.
yeah. Someone who's split up from the missus, that's always going to be a winner. Or the other
Always,
way around,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Then
I heard Lionel Richie say on a VH1 documentary years ago. He said it's a 4-letter word. Always write about love. You're always going to be all right, because there's always going to be someone in love or who just fell out of love or something like that, right? So
yeah,
that 4-letter word's always going to work.
yeah,
In
yeah,
our community, something about Natjana is always going to work.
yeah,
Daru's always going to work.
yeah. So that's a 4-letter word.
There's your 3 concepts. Anyone trying to start, getting in music and trying to work out what songs to write, those are 3. Love, what is it? What did I say? Them 3 always.
Love,
They're always gonna,
Daru, and
yeah.
what's
I
the
don't
other one?
really do the Daru ones,
Oh, yeah,
and what was the other one? Natjana.
yeah, not tonight. Yeah, it's just,
That's it.
you're gonna
That's
win.
it. They're gonna win. Yeah,
That,
there's your
that, that,
concept.
that, there's your workshop there for any budding writer.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I kind of give okay. So you kind of given a little bit of an outlook. What does the timetable look like for you then in the next sort of 6 to 12 months? Then I'll put a timeline on there, 6 to 12 months that we expect you to see stuff.
Yeah. I like it. So I'm at the moment, I'm actually, I've said it in the past how I intend to release next year and this, that, the other. I'm actually right now making songs as we speak. I've been writing this whole time, but I'm actually starting to put them together now. I'm starting to put musical accompaniment to them, with the view that I'll be releasing one single this year. That's it. At some point, it'll be just the one single for now, but it'll be followed by an EP at some point. And that's like
This EP craze is going off in it.
But the EP I was going to do straight after my last album, and I just never got around to it. I meant to record it when I went to India a year later, I think it was, around that, and I was going to record it there, and it never worked out. And then it sort of just, fell on the back burner. But so that's what I'm going to do. I like the EP craze because it's not an album, whereby an album is really. It's quite taxing for an artist to create an album. It's a lot of work, a lot of songs go into it, a lot of time, money, all of that. An EP is pretty, it's not much harder than putting out a few singles in a year, right? It's 3 or 4 songs, so it's a lot easier. But it's nice for a listener as well because you get a body of work, and it's nice for the artist because you feel like you're putting out a body of work. So I think it's a nice happy medium.
It's like a diet album.
Yeah, it's a diet album.
I can't remember who it was. They were talking about the actual definition of extended play. It should have a remix of this, and it should have that, and it should be the prelude for the album that's going to be coming out, and all.
Okay,
they took it to another level.
Yeah, it's just whatever, and an EP is. I can't remember how much length it is in time. It's between whatever it is. I think up to 20 minutes or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, so that's the plan. But let's see how things pan out. Sometimes things don't pan out the way you planned, right? But that is my hope, man. This year we're gonna be releasing more again. Okay. But I don't want to put out any old shit as well,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Otherwise, in the last 12 years, whatever it's been, 13 years since my first album. Yeah, well, 20 since 2003, but since my first album released. So in that 13 years, I could have released a lot more songs, you know, but it's not the kind of thing I just like to release for the sake of releasing. I want to stand by what I release, you know. So when you see me sharing something that I'm releasing something on my own name, believe that I stand by it, you know. You know, I'm into it and I want you to hear it. So that's for good reason.
So, like what I do with every guest that I have who
Yeah.
joins the podcast, it is called the Bandwagon. So this is your space where either you can jump on a bandwagon, jump off a bandwagon, or anything that you want to get off your chest. This is your space to do so.
Yeah, that's a loaded one, isn't it? I don't even know. You should have sent me that like 2 days ago so I could prepared like an essay or something.
But then you normally get it raw and it.
Yeah. I think just enjoy your life, man, and just chill the fuck out and don't take everything so seriously. And before you tweet some dumb shit, give it 48 hours, right? And in 48 hours, if you still think you should tweet that, then go ahead and tweet it. Otherwise, just chill, just leave it. We learned that from Gary Lineker this week.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The Desi cancellation crew hasn't kicked in yet. I fear that's coming.
Yeah, that's why I just said what I said, right? Because I think people get a bit too emotional on everything. You know, social media isn't it's not real life. You know, don't forget to enjoy your real life. And that's another reason why I haven't been as active and whatnot, because I've been enjoying my real life, because it doesn't last forever, bro. So enjoy it while it's here, man. You know? And yeah.
Thank you for your wise words, mate.
My brother, I just made that up.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. So I know we just turned it around really quick. I really appreciate it. So I'm actually slowing my pace down on the podcast. I'm doing it weekly.
And hopefully when I have the next bunch of releases, you know, we can do this again, man. And we'll have more to talk about.
That'd be good. New records. And I'll keep. I've got a list of people who are adhering to, man. So I will hit them back up. I was like, "Yo,
respect, man.
You said
respect." And you gave me, by the way, you may not remember it, but when we ran into each other at Brit Asia Awards some years ago, and my album was about to come out, and you gave me some really good wise words, man. I appreciate it. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate it a lot, because I was a bit like, you know, unsure of what I was doing, but I was just going with it. But yeah, man, you stopped to give me some really good wise words, so I appreciate it a lot.
You know, the most of it all is that if you're a fan, so like if you're a fan of the music and artists or whatever, then you can't. People will know that you're being genuine. If you're going up there to speak to someone to trip them over, or you encourage them to make a mistake, you get found out. And so like, you wouldn't get this far without getting found out. Let's say one or two people don't like you. Yeah. If you're naturally that person, you'd have loads of people saying the same thing about you.
Yeah.
And you don't find that with, like, you know, when you speak to artists that you know, there's one artist that I kind of had an interview, and then loads of people don't like him. Had him on the podcast, and people saw a completely different light to him. And then yet they still go back out, and then they just prove everybody was right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think sometimes now, if you hear so many people saying the same thing about a person, it's very rare that a common denominator is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're right.
You know, and especially, and that's why I kind of moved out of it, because it was so toxic. It was so contaminated. I couldn't.
Yeah.
You could just feel it seeping into you, and you're like, oh man, I don't want it anymore. Yeah. And you probably, like, especially now, if you're taking a break, you come out like, oh, do I want that headache?
Do you know what, bro? I know we're ending this, but that's one of the reasons why I sort of stepped back from the scene a few years back, because it was sucking the life out of me, bro. It really was, man, because it's just that constant negative energy, your constant battle with all these, you know, bad vibes and all that. It sucks the life out of you, and also you become the company you keep as well eventually. And if you don't want to become that company, you sort of have to step back, I think. So yeah, man, it's an interesting world, isn't it?
Well, we could pick that up when the
we'll do that,
songs come out, innit? Thank you, bro, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, my brother. Much love. Thank you.